All right, moving on. We now let's talk about Python programming language as preparation for Raspberry Pi part. Okay, so Python is basically a high-level interpreted and dynamically typed language known for its readability and ease of use. Okay, so this is a very user-friendly, a beginner-friendly language. Okay, some common conventions include indentation, um, naming conventions, comments, and white space. You can read their description. You can pause this video and read uh these descriptions. Okay, so I have to skip these parts, but I am going to zoom in um because this part shows the basic structure of a Python code. Okay, so it's kind of blurry, sorry for that. But you can pause and take a screenshot if you want. Um so here's a better um illustration. Okay, so assuming we have the source code, we used an editor to write our source code. The editor could be as simple as a notepad. Okay, but it will be better if you can use editors like Visual Studio Code for so that we can avail of features that can help us improve our coding, make our code more readable and more professional looking, right? Um, Now once we have our code and we click the run button or we execute the code, this is what happens. First, the compiler, um, okay, I'll just go directly. So it goes to the compiler and then the bytecode. And that IDE should have a Python interpreter which has a Python virtual machine. Okay, so for example, Visual Studio Code, you have to install your Python virtual machine for that, and so on. But good thing you can make use of tools like Google Colab, wherein you don't need to do that anymore. Okay, you can simply write your code and then execute, right? Well, I'll try to provide some examples also. Okay, so in the Python virtual machine, especially via our IDE, we can put inputs and we can incorporate our library modules so that we can come up with our code output when it gets executed. Okay, so that's a very quick overview of Python. Regarding data types, Python has fewer data types. It has a fewer options because Python is smart enough to identify how it can minimize the the space to be consumed by your Python file or Python code, right? So we have data types like int, float, complex, but the most common is int, and as well as we have some um advanced data structures. Okay, we're going to talk about that in a while, like strings, lists, and tuples. Right? By the way, the most common or data types are data data types in Python are categorized as numbers, booleans, sets, dictionaries, or sequences. Okay, so we have some examples here. You can observe them. Okay, and then same thing with the C programming. We have control structures for, okay, this should be Python. Sorry for that. So in Python programming, we also have control structures and the syntax is quite different. So instead of having curly braces for the statements, Python doesn't care as long as you put proper indentation or you observe um, the right indentation. Okay? Indentation matters most in Python. Okay? So as you can see, the statements no longer need semicolons. Okay? So we only use colons in our if and elif as well as in our else lines. Right? For the iterations or for the loops in Python, you can observe this structure. So we still use the for statement or the for keyword. And then normally we still use the I variable. And then here we have the range. Um, for example, if we write range 5, that means we are having a total of 5 iterations. Okay, so you can directly state how many iterations do you want, right? Or you can have some statements here, some expressions like um um okay, so on, right? Because it will take time if I give an example. All right, so you can observe the format, and that's all for now. Okay, regarding control structures in Python, right? Now, this is something I consider more important when it comes to Python. All right. When we are creating a function, of course, we define that by using the def keyword. All right. So we write def and then the function name, and inside the parentheses we have the parameters. Okay. Just similar to the previous example in C. Here we have the parameters named as num1 and num2. So whenever we call this function, the first thing it will do is print the text number one colon the value of num1, and then num2 the value of it should be num2, right? So and after printing, it will perform this operation addition equals to the sum of num1 and num2. Okay. And lastly, it will have the return value. It ends with the return value, wherein the in this example, the return value is the value of our addition variable. So that means whatever the result of this expression, or should we say whatever the sum of these two numbers, that will also be the value of our addition. And which means that will also be our return value. Now, after observe that these portions, this one, two, three, four, this is the body of our function. Okay, so this is the coverage of our function definition, right? And you will know that because of the indentation. Okay, so that means if you intend it to be part of your function definition, you have to align it with the rest, right? Okay, or in short, you just have to observe proper indentation. Okay, so that means here, this line is no longer part of your function definition. Instead, as stated here, it's already part of your function call because we called the function add, okay, which we defined here. So here we called the function add with the values for our parameters num1 and num2. So for num1, we have the value 2, and for num2, we have the value 4. So when we execute this, we have here first the function will print this one. So number one colon, and then the value of num1 is 2. So number one colon 2. And then number two, I mean on the next line, it will print number two colon the value for this one, 4. Okay. And then it will print also the return value um of the variable res. So here the return value is whatever the value of addition. So 2 plus 4, that is 6. So it will also print 6 here. So number 1 and so on, number 2, so on, and then the value of the sum. Okay, so that's a very quick explanation of that example. Now we have here another function example. We have the check number, wherein the parameter is called or named num, right? So you can take a screenshot of this example of so yeah, so that you can observe it. Okay. I'll just zoom out a bit. All right, so you can take a screenshot of that. I'll just cover my face. All right, one, two, three. All right. Now we have with a little bit, knowledge in Python programming and of course in circuits, just like in Arduino, you can now start your basic project in Python. Just um just take note of the GPIO pinouts of your Raspberry Pi. Okay. Um in this case, this is um this is the pinout of our GPIO for Raspberry Pi. And normally we set that as either GPIO or BCM here. We set that as um BCM or the other one, right? So in our Raspberry Pi code, basically, when we run our OS for our Raspberry Pi, we have the built-in IDE called Thonny. So the Thonny IDE looks like this one. We can write our code here, such as this one, and then we can click the run button to run our code. Okay, so here, in this example, we import the necessary libraries to make our code run. Okay, so these are the libraries, RP, RPi.gpio, and then the time. Um, or the GPIO, specifically the RPi.gpio module of this library, and then the time library. So we use them both in this code. Okay, we have the set mode, set warnings, and then we assign the variable for our LED. Okay, 21 means pin number 21. Okay, and we have the variable LED state, which is by default false. And then we set up our our variable LED as our output. Okay, so GPIO dot out. Similar with Arduino. And then we have this loop. So while true, it will do uh these statements. Okay, so basically it will just blink, right? So that's a very quick overview of Raspberry Pi. And I think we have another slide. All right. So we mentioned libraries. So hmm, right. So here's an example of some libraries that we might use for our robotics project. We have the PIN, PWM, modules of our machine library. And then we have the sleep MS module of our time library. Okay, so this is a basic example of how do we import libraries. All right. If you have to install a new library or an external library, you basically go to the okay, assuming you are using the Thony IDE. Okay, you just go to the tools and then look for manage packages. Okay, and this thing will come out wherein you can type what library do you want. Okay, so as long as you're online, you can actually find package from PyPy, right? So we have a lot of libraries that we to choose from. And again, just like in C, when you are doing a robotic system project, you can check the libraries that are available and check which one is appropriate enough for your project. Okay, so why do we use libraries again? Because libraries include some functions that are already defined and ready to use for us. Okay, so meaning if we are using a library with the functions that we need, then we just go directly to calling the function. We can directly call them as long as we have imported that library. So we just call the function, no need to define them. Okay, I hope that clears things up, or at least you've you have you have refreshed your understanding on how C and Python programming works, especially within the concept of or the context of Arduino and Raspberry Pi. Okay, so these two platforms are essential or a big help for beginners, especially in the um, robotic system development field, right? So see you in the next part. All right, that's it for now. Thank you.